for me, but for everybody teaching what they call Tantra. There is everybody teaching Tantra today in the 21st century, pretty much no matter where they are. I'll exempt certain pockets, perhaps in India, and a few other selected locations on the planet. We are all practicing neo-Tantra. We are all practicing a new, reinvented version of the old. It would be cultural appropriation to say otherwise. We are not living in India. It's not 1,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago. Tantra, there are different branches of Tantra. What seems to be the closest to the historical truth we can muster is that, first of all, there's Tantra, there's different branches of Tantra everywhere in the world. There's a Native American form of Tantra, there's an Aboriginal Tantra, they may not call it Tantra, but there are sacred sex practices that amount to Tantra all over the world. When we say Tantra, we most usually mean India. And the first traces of Tantra, you can actually find them in museums more than you can in sacred texts, because a lot of those have been lost, or stuff was never written down. But 5,000 years ago, you can see the beginning of Red Tantra. Red Tantra being the more physical, the more wild, the more sex-related, the more goddess religion-related. That school of Tantra. We see relics of that even in museums, if you know what you're looking for, dating back as much as 5,000 years. The kind of Tantra we tend to refer to when we say Tantra, when somebody's practicing Tantra, studying Tantra, that which is a bit more controlled, has a bit more system to it, and also has a whole branch of itself that has nothing whatsoever to do with sex. That's White Tantra, and it's much more recent, probably more around 1,000 years. Many of us who talk about Tantra now are combining some form of the two. So if you really try to get your intellectual academic brain around what Tantra is, you may find it frustrating. Maybe not if you're a really good academic, which I'm not, but because it's so slippery. There is no one track written down like some Bible that we are all following. Most of the things that were written down were written in code, so it would take a qualified guru to translate them. Or they were passed by tradition, oral word of mouth. I delight when I find someone who has actually had a teacher or is a teacher who has spent a long time in India, who has a little nugget of something from the past, but I no longer treat it like it's better than anything we've discovered. Why is Tantra in the modern world meaning sex? Because we have no other spiritual practice to look at that says all parts of life are sacred and can bring you to divinity, to enlightenment. So we tend to take the piece about Tantra that is all about sex and just go, thank you! And then Tantra means sex, when in fact it doesn't. If you were in a monastery in Nepal right now, really, you would not be doing PC squeezes and thinking about your yoni and lingam. Really, it wouldn't be happening. So also, sometimes you'll go to say, oh look, a book about Tantra. What's this? Because Tantra is a huge, huge, huge subject, and only a small piece of it actually relates to sex, as just one of the many ways you can reach enlightenment. In Tantric philosophy, you can have a Tantric experience or wash the dishes Tantrically. You can pet the dog Tantrically. You can take out the trash Tantrically. Because it is a spirituality that invites us to use all forms of physical life as a path to the divine. So, other myths about Tantra. I won't spend too long on this, but I will a little bit. Tantra is a religion. No, it's not. If it was, I wouldn't be doing it. I'm over religion. It's a spiritual path and a spiritual process. What I like about Tantra, it's one of those spiritualities that I don't have to do it. I just allow and it does me. And I really like that in my spiritual path. And what do I mean about does me? Back to Tantra and sex. In the Western world, sex is something we do. You know magazine covers? How to do sex better. You know, how to have better sex is still doing sex. In the East, in Tantra and in Tao, sex is an energy we allow. Huge difference. Sex is an energy we allow. So when we learn how to move sexual energy around using Tantra and Taoist principles, we are moving moving around life force energy. There is not going to work energy, taking out the trash energy, washing the dog energy, and then sexual energy. It's all the same energy.